Okay, so first of all, congrats. It's your sixth studio album, Where We Started. Um, Tell me a little bit about what makes this album special and different for you.
I think the biggest thing for me is that it wasn't originally supposed to be an album. I think that's what makes it special. I
Mm,
put out a record last year called Country Again Side A, and I thought that I was writing for Country Again Side B, which would make the most sense. But I think there was something about getting on the road again in 2021 that when I thought I had side B finished, I kind of started looking at these crowds and I was like, man, I feel like people lost a little bit of themselves in 2020, but they
right.
did not forget how to dance. They did not forget how to drink beer, and they did not forget how to party. And I was kind of making this record again of kind of very very singer songwriter esque songs. And like if you've ever been to a show of mine, it's extremely high energy. Um, yeah, I'm jumping around all night. Like we try to
Yeah.
keep in for 2 hours, and I thought we were missing that. I thought there was pieces that were missing, for this tour we're about to embark on this year. And so me and my co-writers kind of got back in the room and wrote a couple songs and wrote a couple more and wrote a couple more. And the next thing you know, we had written like 50 or 60 tunes that did not fit the side B vibe for me, if that makes any sense. And so I remember the label being like, do we have to put side B out next? Like, I mean, sometimes like, Iron Man comes out after Spider-Man 4,
Yeah.
like, and that's kind of where my head went. And I thought, that's kind of unique that we weren't even really writing for this, but all of a sudden, that's just where all the songs kept leading to. They kept leading to this
Mm.
album called Where We Started. And yeah, now we're here talking about it. So it's I think that's my favorite part, is that it was very unexpected, but sometimes that's how music works.
Yeah, I mean, this pandemic was so unexpected, and you're especially an artist that writes about what you're feeling and what you're going through.
Yeah,
So it took a turn, right?
for sure.
I love the single Slow Down Summer.
Oh,
It's
thank
like
you.
the best summertime anthem. It makes you feel like it's just such a Thomas Rhett, like country romance, everything we kind of need. But did you know right away this would be the single, or why did you choose this one?
I chose this one because it felt very cinematic for me, and I love leading off records with things that feel a certain way. And normally we come with something like as my little 16-year-old brother calls it, a banger, you know what I mean, or like something that slaps, or whatever the kids are talking about these days. And for this one, for me, I hadn't portrayed any sort of heartbreak in a long time, and so like on this song, I really dove back in. And it's kind of a true story, but I think we've all been in that position where we're dating someone in high school or in college, and in the summertime it's just perfect because there's no competition. It's just you and this person. But you realize that when fall comes around, you might be going to different schools, or someone's going to work and they're going to school. And for me and Lauren, that was like her going to a different school than me. And I kind of knew, she's beautiful. So I was like, this is going to end real quick. You know what I mean? And I think everyone at that moment wishes that July could just stay July for forever. And that's kind of where that came from. And no one had really heard any sort of heartbreak from me since a song called Marry Me, which I released like almost 3 albums ago. So content wise, for me, it felt like something that was unique and something fresh coming from my perspective. So
I love that. You write the most beautiful songs about you and Lauren's love. I just can't imagine how she ever stops feeling wooed by you because you just are always writing these beautiful songs. But so Slow Down Summer, was slightly inspired by Lauren. But in addition to that, what other songs on the album? I think I know, but what other songs on the album were heavily influenced by your love with Lauren?
yeah, so I feel like on this album, I tried to find new ways to say I love you. You know what I mean? And sometimes that doesn't all look like rainbows and butterflies. The one track that is very uplifting about my wife is a song called Us Someday, which is towards the end of the record. But it basically is, from my perspective as a 21-year-old, being like, I know that you don't think a lot of these things are going to happen in our lives, but I promise you that they are. Like, we're going to put our handprints in a driveway one day, and we're going to grow old, and all these things are going to happen. And it's just this very nostalgic feeling of like having so much confidence that this is your person. that we put it in a song form, and it's one of my favorites on the album. But the other two that really were inspired by her were the first track on the record called The Hill, and the third or fourth track called Angels. And those two types of love songs really haven't ever been done by me before in that way. We've been married for 10 years. You know, we've got 4 kids. Life is not always amazing. You know what I mean? Like, it is amazing, but there are days that are just like, good Lord, what are we even fighting about? You know? The Hill, I think, is one of my favorite tracks on the record because you've heard that phrase a lot in your life, right? Like, that's the hill that I'd want to die on, or that's not a hill I want to die on. And the hook of that is fighting for your love is a hill that I want to die on. And just the dumb arguments that happen during marriage, like, I just feel like you can wake up and be like, you know what? We're going to go through this. We're going to do this a lot until we're like 80 years old. But I promise you, the one thing that is never going to crumble is you and I together. And so to me, that that is just a very unique way to say I love you, and I think that's what all songwriters are striving to do. So
I love Angels. I mean, I listened to the record. I love it all. But the songs about that you write, I know you're writing about Lauren, just particularly hit me. I just
yeah,
love your love story
well,
with
thank
her.
you. I appreciate that. It means a lot.
I think everyone does. Like, your wife, everyone loves your wife. They love you, and the two of you just have such a beautiful life that we all like to kind of be on the outside looking in. Um, but in addition, this record has a lot of great collabs on it. But the one I'm particularly obsessed with is the Katy Perry one.
Yeah,
Tell me how that came together. What was it like fusing her kind of pop sound with more of your country vibe?
yeah. I mean, I think if you know, which I didn't, you know, a lot of Katie's past was really centered around country music. You know, I think she's always had a passion for it. Um, you know, I should think she loves, like she said, sitting down and just writing country songs on her guitar. You know what I mean? So those were things I didn't know before this collaboration happened. But then I go back and I listen to it, and I was like, okay, I think that came from a very real, authentic place from her. You know, and it was really never supposed to be a collab. Someone at our label reached out to her team and sent them the song, and she fell in love with it. And I was just shocked, you know, that someone of her stature and someone who was the soundtrack of my teen years would want to do anything with me. And so, you know, the next thing I knew, we were FaceTiming about what parts that she wanted to sing, and you know, asking, "Do you want me to be here? Do you want me to do that?" And then we're shooting a music video for the song, and like, the song went from something that I really liked to something that I really loved, you know, with her voice on there. And so really, really cool collaboration from her.
Okay, wait. I love that you said that you grew up listening to her. I think you and I are around the same age.
Yeah.
So she was like the hottest thing ever. But
Yeah.
what songs of hers do you remember like loving?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you couldn't have listened to Katy Perry when that
I
whole craze
know.
was happening. But for me, I mean, Firework and Roar and TGIF. I mean, it was just like, it was kind of, you couldn't even walk into a Target or much less a grocery store without hearing, you know, one of those songs. And so I don't know. It's just I love getting to meet people that I have been such a fan of my whole life. And when you get to meet them and they turn out to be as awesome as you hope they would, and you get to collaborate, it's all like a really, really perfect storm.
I love that. And then she's of course with Luke Bryan on
Oh yeah,
American Idol, which is fun. So it's like the whole she's kind of on the side of that
for
country, the
sure,
country world.
for sure.
You have been nominated for a Grammy this year, which is major for your song Country again.
Yeah.
How would it feel to add a Grammy to your very large collection of awards?
It would be wild. I've been nominated for, I think, 3 or 4 Grammys in my life, and obviously I've lost all of them to people that deserve them way more than I did. This one will be special though. I think for a song like Country Again that I wrote in the dead center of the pandemic and wrote it over Zoom with 2 of my favorite co-writers, to a song that wasn't even, I never even thought was going to see the light of day, that ended up becoming the name of the album and a single that worked on the radio. Like, I don't know. Maybe the stars have aligned on this one, but this one in particular would be really, really special to win.
Yeah, I think it would. I think it's such a good song too, talking kind of like what we've all gone through. You know, it's like you talk about the little things that people miss doing.
For sure.
Yeah, and going back to their roots. Um, So I know that you also have a radio show now where we started, and your
Yeah.
first guest was your dad, which was so cute. I loved
Yeah.
seeing you guys together on the when you watch it, when you listen, you can also see you gentlemen talking. Um, but talk to me about how your dad has really been so pivotal in your career and your success in country music.
Yeah, that show has been really fun to do. Obviously, one episode's out with my dad, and it's a really it's worth a listen for sure. Even if you don't even know who we are, you should check it out. Like the fact that like a father and a son are getting to do this together on a quote unquote professional level is pretty rare. You know what I mean? And the fact that we get to do that together on the road, at home, but he's also dad. It's like it's such an interesting dynamic. But I mean, I grew up watching him play shows. I grew up watching him write songs. Like I feel like every bit of knowledge I ever gained at a young age was because of him. You know, especially from a song. I got most of my sense and common sense from my mom, but I got the majority of my songwriting skill from my dad. And it's really cool. I mean, that's the only way I know how to say it. You know, to be able to not only just like write songs, but to have them actually be successful in songs that people want to listen to. To get to say that, yeah, I wrote that with my dad is a really cool thing to get to say.
It's so, so cool. And I loved that you posted a little video of you as a little boy singing with him on the guitar. Is
Yeah.
that kind of like what your childhood was like?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think any kid really just wants to, be their dad. At least a boy wants to be their dad or whatever. And that was for me. I mean, I watched him sing. I watched him tour. Like, so anytime he came home, it was immediately, can you get your guitar out so we can start singing 90s country in the living room? Like those are some of my fondest memories of being a kid. And my dad carried around a camera like it was his job. And now I'm doing it with my kids. And now I understand how annoying it is from my kids' perspective, that I'm just like, hey, will you just take a bite of your sandwich one more time? I want to make sure that I document that. So
Oh, that's so cute. I also thought your daughter, two of your daughters look so much like you from that little video you posted.
yeah,
Lennon and
oh,
Ada look so much like you. It's
right.
crazy.
It is weird. It is very weird.
It's like looking at a mirror almost like for you, I'm sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Um, Going back to Lauren, I was dying because it's a good thing you can write music because you tried to draw her and that didn't come out very well. Did you see the drawing you did of her?
I don't even know. I think my wife gets on social media like once a month. So if she did see that, she needed to be looking for it. But I love to embarrass her on Instagram because I know she never looks at it, and I love doing certain things so that her mom can text her and be like, "Did you see what Thomas Rhett posted about you?" And she's like, "What'd you post about me?" And I'm like, something dumb. But no, I love getting to play just around with her like that on social media. But yeah, I'm a terrible artist, and I
You
don't
are
foresee any neck tats in my future. But it's 2022. A lot's changed.
a
So
lot. A lot has changed. And you know what? You write her beautiful songs. So she gets that. She don't need to be an incredible artist for her.
right, yeah.
Um,
If I did a living drawing, it would be very poor, very
yeah,
poor. So
yes. But like you said, you guys do have four daughters. I'm sure the house is always crazy, a lot going on. How do you make sure that you guys get that alone time and that you get date nights or you just get to give each other that one-on-one attention?
yeah, we have to put it on the calendar. And I'm kind of one of those people that I look at my calendar and I'm just like, I guess this is what I'm doing on Thursday. So for me to like actively go into the calendar and be like, okay, Thursday at 7, bottle of wine, movie, Lauren and me only. Like it has to be on there or else something else will happen. You know what I mean? Like we're so tight with our family that like, I mean, at any given moment, all 48,000 of our family members could walk through the door at the same time. So like we have a family calendar and it's like, hey, no one come over. Me and Lauren are doing this because we need to. And then every now and then we get to schedule some sort of trip. We went skiing with each other a couple weeks ago, just us two, and it was much needed. So
That's so nice. It's so good that you guys are able to take that time, even though you've got all the babies. But how are all the babies doing? How are the older two doing? Are they able to help with the younger ones yet?
Yeah,
Not
they are.
really.
I mean,
Oh, they do.
they ask to hold Lily like all the time, which obviously supervised holding. You know, kids are very just kind of like, oh, there's a butterfly, and then the baby's head just like falls on the couch, and so it's like you have to kind of be there. Um, but yeah, they're doing great. You know, like in the beginning, I think it was kind of weird for Lennon because she has been the baby, you know, for a
Right.
couple of years, and when a new one came in, she was like, what the crap is happening? Like, where's my attention? You know what I mean? But now she's starting to like really dive into that awesome big sister role, and especially Willa Gray and Ada James, like they love it. They've become like little just caretakers. Like all of our friends are having babies. My sister's pregnant, Lauren's sister's pregnant, and it's like, so we're just about to have like 1,000 babies.
It's gonna be
And
great though. They can have, it's so great to have so many cousins like that.
for sure.
So it'll
Oh,
be
yeah. Well, they
so
got them.
fun for them.
Yeah, and so they love every second of it. They always ask to hold everyone's babies, and it's like, okay, you know.
So
So
good. Did
yeah,
you ever think that at 31, you're 31, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Did you ever think at 31 you would have 4 babies?
No, no. Oh my gosh, when I was 21 years old, like you know, I couldn't even imagine what it was like to balance a checkbook. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So, being 31 with 4 kids was not on the radar, but you know, I think that's how God works. You know, I mean, we just keep having them. You know, we're taking a smidge of a breather right now. We need to come up for air for a little bit, let these grow up a smidge, and we may be done, but we may not. I think my wife really wants to have 5 to I was going to say an even number, but that's not an even number. I think it's
No.
5 would just round it out for her. Um, but it's a new adventure every day, and it's an adventure that I love being on. So
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, I do hope you guys have more just because I love seeing your family on the outside. It's so cute and so sweet. But you're gonna hit the road in June for Bring the Bar to You tour, which I'm so excited about. I hope you are coming to New York because I will go if you are.
okay.
Does the family come or you just kind of go back and forth?
I'll probably do mostly coming back and forth this year.
Okay.
You know, I think when one of your kids is in kindergarten, it's not as lax as it used to be. Kindergarten's kind of like the first like real can't miss it, you know, year of
Yeah.
school.
Yeah.
But during the summertime, I guarantee they'll come out quite a bit. But while school's in, it's just trying to stick to the schedule. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So